Some might call it the most important day on the college football calendar. We are one day away from National Signing Day, and much like the NFL draft on the next level, this is the lifeblood of any college football program, bringing in the talent, and this has become the National Signing Day over the last few years. 85 to 90% of the players sign in December. We're talking Miami football with you for the next hour, and the guy that makes it all happen, the wholesome one. How's it going today?
Going well, going well, going well. Was able to sleep in a little bit this morning for the first time in a very long time. We got a huge game this upcoming Friday, but that's for me personally. At the FCS level, really excited about that one. 8 p.m. kickoff, ESPN. So it will be sick. Hopefully we come out with a win on that tilt. But for Miami, things got really well. They got really well this past weekend, and we'll see where we can go from there.
As always, folks, we've got the wholesome one here every Tuesday at 1:15 Eastern time. So we invite your comments, your questions. Don't just enjoy it yourself. Bring some folks in here with you. Let them know right now we're talking Miami football live for the next hour. National Signing Day tomorrow. So Mario Cristobal is off and running. And as we see all over the country with coaches that take on new programs and only have a couple of weeks to prepare a class and try to maintain it, retain it, try to build upon it as much as possible, it's a difficult task. So what do you see from Cristobal at this point?
Impressed is the first thing that comes to mind. Yes, you kind of expect it because he's known as a recruiter and a CEO and more of a player personnel kind of head coach, as opposed to like X's and O's, and I'll put you in this situation and I'll have you in this down and distance and I'll get you on this slow linebacker at Virginia who's been there for 3 years and I've already watched film on him. He's not necessarily that kind of coach. And, either way works really well. But as a head coach, I prefer the way that he is right now. And that's why I started out with impressed because 4-star, borderline 5-star defensive end Nigel Lee Kelly comes out of the interview with 247 Sports and flat out says, I'm happy Miami went in a different direction with the head coach because I didn't like the guy before. That should let you know Nigel Lee Kelly is a South Florida recruit from Broward County, plays at Dillard in Broward in Fort Lauderdale. He's one of the big time edge rushers in South Florida. And Mark, we don't really get many of those. If we do, they're like 6'2", 201, and they just fly off the edge because they're too slow to play linebacker in this area of the country. But they can go down and put a hand in the dirt. They're tall enough and big enough to just fly off the edge. No, you're talking about a 6'5", 260-pound dude who the previous regime was slow playing because they wanted to shoot their shot at the 5-star of Shamar Stewart and felt like Nigel Lee Kelly was just going to come here because we're the U. It's not 2002. That doesn't work anymore. Okay, we need to be building relationships to where each and every one of these recruits feel like we're only recruiting them. That's how hard we are recruiting and building a relationship with not only him, but his father, his mother, his both sets of grandparents, his uncles, his aunties. That's how deep this recruitment goes. And that's the way, with maybe 2 or 3 people on his official staff, that's how hard and tenacious Coach Mario Cristobal has been on the recruiting trail, to the point where some of these young men would not have even come to Miami this past weekend. Earl Little Jr., someone who came on an official visit to Miami this past weekend, was said to be written off completely. Top 100 player, top 15 corner in the country, written off, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours to Alabama. He was gone to Tuscaloosa. There was no conversation about it. Now, he could still sign to Alabama this week because it is Wednesday through Friday, so there's a time there. Okay, if he signs tomorrow, which I do not know for a fact if it is tomorrow or if it's sometime later on this week, I believe it will be out of Alabama. They have spent the most time. They have spent a large amount of time recruiting him and building a good relationship. And also having some of the best corners in college football helps. Having some of the best corners in the National Football League also helps. So I think that ship has an ability to be pulled back in, but for the most part, I think it's already been out to sell up to Tuscaloosa, and it will take some time to pull back in. Um, One of the other things that happened this past weekend is we were able to do it in home with Earl Little also. So it's a double whammy, being able to have a good rapport. His father played here, and he was very open and public about the way that the previous staff treated him and his family as if they were just supposed to come just because it's Miami and you went here and we don't have to recruit you all hard enough because what is there to sell about the fact that you've already come here and won a championship here? You should just be here. And it's not like that. Okay, so that's where we are. There's a couple names of people who were there. Wesley Basaint, who just picked Miami about a week and a half ago, was said to be a big Tallahassee lean. He was going to go there. It was written off that he was going to go up there. And it wasn't necessarily because they beat us on the football field. What was the biggest thing is the development of linebackers. And Tallahassee has done a little better at developing linebackers than Miami. And we hadn't been doing well at all. We looked bad and we couldn't tackle and things of that nature. So it's been a nice step in the direction. What I would like to say, Mark, is again, I'm happy for what Coach Cristobal and this small staff, because he had to hold on to some of the people from the previous staff while he's still interviewing and trying to build his own staff for the 2022 season and moving on, 22 spring and moving forward. But in order to kind of still have some of those relationships locally and nationally, he had to keep some of those guys at least for the next couple of weeks before they take demotions over to recruiting or to defensive or offensive analysts. Hey, where are these guys? Where are the numbers? Where am I supposed to go? Who am I supposed to meet up with? Of course, he's just going to show up to the regular high schools, but Miami has been recruiting nationally for a little bit, not landing them, but speaking to them. And he wanted to know, who are the people I need to call and talk to and kind of build a relationship and evaluate their film and see if they still have an official Miami offer. Miami had a decommit from linebacker Justin Medlock, who Coach Coach Chris, I'm so used to saying that. Coach Cristobal over his time looked and evaluated the film and didn't necessarily think he was Miami caliber anymore. So that scholarship was pulled. And that happens. That happens. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I know that he spent the better part of the last week pulling double duty, Mark, trying to build the staff, trying to interview, while also build a relationship with the current staff and trying to build a relationship in recruiting, trying to get people on for official visits, also doing in-home visits. He's just been going, 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 and that's why you need a worker. You need someone that isn't afraid to put in that work when it comes to a job like Miami. Because I understand it takes a lot of foresight to ever think Miami could be in the same conversation with the Georgia, could be in the same conversation with the Bama, even hell, a Texas A&M at this point, okay, which is not a bad conversation to be in. You talk about being a top 15 team. Well, there's a reason why those people are in the top 15 year in and year out. Is because they are very tenacious with what we're talking about right now. And it's getting the Jimmys and Joes. And yes, you could throw a whole bunch of money at the wall and hope people come in and pick you. But relationships, Mark, tenacious relationship building is the best place to create a foundation to build off of on recruiting. And I think Coach Cristobal has that down packed.
It is not a job for a lazy man, that's for sure. You've got to be ready to go all the time. You've got to be just grinding all the time, and you've got to be on. You can't just be, some jobs you can just show up just so you're there to take the ticket or to do whatever you're doing. Just, you can be 40%. And no, you got to be on. You got to be on your A game. You got to deliver. You got to speak to these young men. And as you remind us all the time, they're families, and you need to sell why Miami is the best destination for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you may need to say that 15 times in a day, day after day after day after day, but also have enough smarts and enough awareness of that particular young man in that situation to say it differently to him and to sell it differently to him because his priorities might be different. His personality's different.
Absolutely, and it goes in different directions, Mark. Just some personal examples. You might have someone who isn't too family centric, and they're about ball. They could care less about the academics. They could care less about your strength and conditioning. Who's my defensive line coach? Who's my linebackers coach? Who is going to put me in position because I'm Johnny Five Star. I'm 6'6" and I'm 260 pounds and I'm coming from an IMG academy. I've already had elite strength and conditioning. I've already left my hometown because I'm from Nebraska, and I left there because the high school ball up there wasn't preparing me. I came down to Bradenton, Florida. I'm on campus. I can't leave campus at IMG. So all I know is eat, sleep, wake up and do it again, football. Who's going to make me the best one? Well, you can't really swing with the family stuff. You can't swing with the elite communications program here and how that degree can take you anywhere. He cares about ball. So his top three might just be Ohio State, Georgia, and Bama. And if I'm Miami, I still got to come in there and swing. And I still got to come in there and say, our defensive line coach is putting people in the National Football League. You may not know him, and that's okay because they were at Pittsburgh. And Charlie Partridge is coming down to the University of Miami. It's not official, but I'm letting you know it's not official. He's coming down. And what we're going to do, what we're building with our strength and conditioning program and with him, we put them together with you. We get them in the same room, and you find out that 3-point stance. And you're going up against Virginia's and Virginia Tech's and Georgia Tech's and North Carolina offensive tackles. What you've already brought and put on film, and we put together what you can do in the future, you can rush the passer for a very long time in the National Football League here, son, at the University of Miami in the orange and green. I want you to think about us. Keep us in mind. I'm going to call you every day. Ignore my phone if you want. I'm going to call you every day because I can't wait to see you rush off the edge for the University of Miami. Those are the type of people that just football, Mark. And there's some people who, coach, you guys not doing too well. You guys don't play in the SEC. I don't know. They slow play you. They downplay you. You guys are FCS. I don't know. I just got off the phone with the D1 single A, or I just got off the phone with the defensive line coach from a school in the SEC. I don't know if I'm really considering you. And Mark, it hurts. It doesn't, to feel like someone just looks down at you and there's some 17-year-old young man looking down at you in your program, but you have to be able to take that in also. And you have to be able to flip that conversation. You have to be able to flip that narrative and just try to get them on campus and have them see what you bring to the table and how he shouldn't look so down at you about that. But recruiting is fun. Recruiting, it's a lot of fun. It's fun. It is more fun when you're winning games and you're on national TV all the time. But when you put in that hard work and you grow from the small up, and you're like, I remember when you said you wouldn't even come here. Now look at you. You're leading sack leader here at the University of Miami. How it works.
We appreciate everybody's support in the live chat, the kind comments, and everybody telling us that they enjoy the show each and every week. We got the Wholesome One here. You should be subscribed at his channel, the Wholesome One Holloway, right here on YouTube. You can find it easily, HOLSUM and the number 1, HOLSUM and the number 1. We'll have his banner up here from time to time. So you should be locked in there, but maybe you're just finding us here for the first time or one of the first times. So we appreciate you being here. Leave your comments and your questions. One comment that came in regarding the challenge that Miami faces, and this isn't uncommon again with the first year coach that's coming in just a couple of weeks ago, no offensive coordinator, no defensive coordinator, and how much that affects recruiting negatively.
It could be a big issue. But again, that's how you manage the situation. When you're on the phone with the young men, you're on the phone with their father, you're on the phone with their uncle, whoever their guardian is, and whoever's really helping them through this recruiting process. You have to reassure them that we are interviewing the best of the best, and we are trying to get these offensive coordinators. We don't want to be put in a bad situation. We don't want to put you in a bad situation. For example, Mark, there was a whole bunch of smoke of talking about Joe Brady, the passing game coordinator of the national championship LSU Tigers, who went on and took a job for the Panthers and stunk. Now, he comes back. He wants to come back to college, and there was a lot of smoke around him coming to Miami. Thought it to be a done deal, and then things come out and saying he didn't want to do more than 2 years. He's not going to do 2 years of college. And he wants this astronomical amount of money to come down, and Coach Cristobal is not going to fall for stuff like that. He's not. You want to come here. We're trying to build something. What Miami is right now, Mark, if we're going to put it bluntly, might be a 30 ranked team. Maybe. You could argue about talent. You could argue about the bad conference. Until proven otherwise, Miami has not, year in and year out, dominated the Coastal. So what does that say about us? Okay. You can blame coaches. You can blame situational players. You look at it at face value with the quality of players that are on the team right now. Miami is in the range of 25 to 30. It's going to take more than a week. It's going to take more than 6 months to change the mindset of the kind of young men who can change your program to view your program in a different light. It's going to take time. And it's going to take coaches to view us differently. It's going to take a little bit who want to come here and be a part of the staff and be a part of the rebirth of a Miami football program. Okay, so it's gonna get good, and I'm happy about being able to foresee and project into the future. But still, it's gonna take a little bit to flip things here. So I understand people getting a little frustrated about not having commits, not having an offensive coordinator, not having a defensive coordinator. But I honestly think that comes from them having early signing day smack dab in the middle of us doing interviews, okay, while we're also in recruiting heaven. And a lot of these young men aren't coming to Miami right now. So it could just speed up the frustration process because I want to brag about this guy coming to Miami. I'm tired of seeing all the crystal balls of Niger League and this player here and that player here picking Miami. I want them to actually pick Miami, and let's start rolling with commitments. All I'm saying is let's give Coach Cristobal a little bit of time, y'all. We're going to get some people tomorrow. We're going to get some people Thursday. We may get some people Friday. I'm willing to hold on until February when Mark is truly able to recruit these young men. First off, he'll have a staff. He'll have to have a staff. Why? Because we got spring ball. Okay, so he's gonna have his staff. He's gonna have his strength and conditioning staff and nutrition programs already set up. All right. So we're gonna have to have all those things set up. Then we get the month of January to try to get more visits in for people who had not taken official visits or non-official visits or been on campus. Now we can sit you down with Charlie Partridge, Shamar Stewart. Let's put a name on it. Shamar Stewart, 5-star defensive end. Come in, and now you're sitting there, you're looking at the strength and conditioning coach. He has on that U polo. You're looking at Charlie Partridge. He has on that U polo. You got Coach Cristobal. He has on that official U polo. And we're all in there talking to you about what we're going to do. We got your academic advisor sitting right here. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get you in. Well, this is what the programs that we got our freshmen in. This is the dorm that you're going to be in. So now you don't have to pretend and just go by on faith of what we're saying. All of this stuff is right here in front of you. You can feel it. You can see it. This is what we're going to do for you. We're going to walk you to your dorm. We're going to walk you to the weight room. We're going to have you sit here and watch our players go through the new strength and conditioning program and see how it's going to feel. You can see guys passing out and can't get through it. And we're going to say, we're going to do that to you, and we're going to do it hard because you're a 5-star and we know what you can be. And you're supposed to be a top 10 pick as being one of the number 1 or number 2 defensive end in the country. Okay. It's different for these young men, Mark, when they can actually see it. and they can actually know this is what I'm going to have. So I'm giving him up until February when he can put that staff together. He can properly recruit, and he can also, match make with the players and the coaches, and they can see it and sit down and watch our guys go through practices and things of that nature. So I'm giving him a couple 8 weeks or so.
And the point about waiting till February is in a regular year, meaning where the coach has already been here, that victory typically comes the way National Signing Day has been, early signing date, taking over the February slot, where you get that name to paper on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of this week. But for this particular year, a victory, the indication of what a victory is this week in certain cases is not necessarily that Miami's going to be able to sign those guys, to your point, but that they didn't sign anywhere else, that Cristobal was able to get them to consider and not go to Bama, Georgia, fill in the blank, wherever, and make that decision this week. But they are so strongly considering Miami that they're waiting, and they're
Right.
going. They want more information, and they want to talk more, and they want to think about it more. Absolutely.
It's big. And like I said, Mark, that's a big W. That's a big W. I've been saying it for weeks. If we can get them to hold off into February, and all of them we won't, and that's okay. I understand. Like I said, this is what I do. So there's a chance that some of these people have already built that relationship, Mark. They've already yeah, I know you put it on my emotion strings, but I've already made a connection with the cornerbacks coach at Bama. I've already made a connection with the linebackers coach at Georgia. Now, the question might be, is he going to take a different job too? Because, he just had somebody hired from within there to replace Coach Cristobal up at Oregon. So, a lot of that stuff it works itself out in some instances. Make sure your stuff is in order, but usually it works itself out over time.
I don't know if you've had a chance to check out the tape on this Kevin Coleman, but
Oh,
Miami
yes.
seems to be St. Louis, Missouri. If for those of
Wide
you
receiver.
who are unaware, wide
Mhm.
receiver, 4th ranked in the country, top 50
Mhm.
player, regardless of position, highly rated, and everybody wants him, but he's looking at seems like Miami and Florida State are the most prominent on his list.
Yeah, they we're the ones going back and forth for him right now. Here's the thing, Mark. We did a live film eval last night, something I hadn't done in a while. Why? Because recruiting wasn't a big thing on the channel because we suck. So it was no one cared. Okay, no one cared. It wasn't anything to recruit. It wasn't much to talk about. No one was really having anything to say about Miami. And so there's that. Um, I watched this film last night, and it was honestly really impressive. The only thing I will say is you do have to have the conversation about competition and who they're going up against. And it's not something that you say as far as to demean the young man, but it's just something to have in the back pocket because, in all honesty, it's a valid question. I turn on the film and I see some of these corners, and I'm like, they're not playing Power 5 football. But one of the things they say in NFL evaluation is too, when I turn on the film, if you're big time and you play at a small school, I shouldn't even need to know your number. I know your name. I should be able to turn on the film and say, oh, that must be him because he's dominating the game. And that's what you would say about Coleman, man, flying. Mark, it had a lot of the feel of former borderline 5-star, 4-star player Jeff Thomas. Jeff Thomas was moving like that. So that's definitely one of the players that came to mind when we were evaluating the film live last night, and it was super exciting to see him, man. I had never watched him before, and it was a new name that popped up, and everybody was like, "Host, you got to go over this. You got to go over this." So I watched them. I like them. I think it would be a great addition, and I think that could be one of those surprises. You know, Mark, because every year it's a surprise. 2013, one of the biggest surprises you see um, was Stacey Coley back in 2013. He was known number 4 wide receiver in the country. He was going up to Tallahassee. Al Golden pulled on those emotion strings strong enough. What did he do? He picked Miami. A couple seasons later, in 2016, Jeff Thomas was thought of to either stay home and go to Illinois, or he was going to go to Louisville because they had really good success with their slot wide receivers. He ends up putting on the orange and green visor and coming to Miami. So it's one of those things. You never know what's going to happen. You shoot your shot, you go up the bat. You make sure that your things are in order, and you get it.
All right, folks, keep in mind that you could help us find a sponsor. So if you own a business or know somebody who owns a business who may benefit from sponsoring this specific show or anything else here at the Voice of College Football, please hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail and hit that like button before you do anything else as well. Somebody here, Randy, is campaigning for Rob Likens as offensive coordinator.
I would love to interview him because what I think a lot of people don't understand about that is I think a lot is going to get interviews, man. They're going to get interviews, and we're going to see what they can bring to the table. I know Coach Cristobal is going to go in a different direction at wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator. He's bringing the same guy. I believe his name is McClendon. Coach McClendon, wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator at Oregon. He's bringing that guy over from him. One thing I am a little eerie of is just hiring people because we've had previous connection. He's only done that twice with the strength and conditioning coach who was thought of as the best in college football. Dude with the mustache, big swole guy. I can't think it was Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
You don't know the guy that's always that may not be your Aaron Feld. Yeah, I got his first name right. Aaron Feld. He's loony, Mark. He's a big wrestling fan. So his signature is the stash. He has this big, long stash here, swole arms, and he does the 1980s wrestling promos. And he's, oh yeah. Like that's him, man. It is amazing. He does great impersonations of Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. And it's big time. I'm a big wrestling fan, so that was my first love before I got into football. So I love it. And he's coming to Miami, and he's thought of to be one of the best, if not the best, strength and conditioning coach out. And he's coming here, and then you also have the passing game coordinator. You also have the offensive line coach, Coach Mirabal, Alex Mirabal, one of the best offensive line coaches. But the funny part about that is they played together at Columbus. And if you were to see this guy, you'd be very surprised that he played offensive line at all of 5'5". He was a center for a private school, and he played offensive line. But now he's one of the best recruiter and one of the best developers of offensive line. But great technician, dude. Great technician, Coach Mirabal. And it's pretty interesting to see him next to these like skyscrapers, and he's way down here, and he's chewing them about technique. But that's the beautiful part about it is when you are not as tall as everyone, in order to be successful, what do you have to master? Technique. So if you can teach someone who has everything else, the intangibles and the little things, and you hammer it home, that's what makes the difference. Because yeah, I'm 6'5". I'm not, but I'm saying theoretically, I'm 6'5", 310 pounds, I'm the number one offensive tackle in the country. I didn't really have to try hard much in high school, but I get here, the defensive end Yeah, he's 6'4", but he flies off the ball. And I'm used to only taking 2 steps and there's no one in front of me. Nope, I got to kick. And I got to kick and I still got to keep my shoulders low. I can't get high because he'll bull rush me. I can't anchor because then he'll go right around me. I can't quick set because then he'll just swim over me. So you gotta listen and pay attention to your technique. And I think that's where we really got to get hit home at offensive line is the technique. Because once you go up in recruiting, they're already going to be good. You gotta be able to fix the little things. It's gonna take maybe a class or two to get to that point, but I'm happy we're bringing in Coach Mirabal because I think him and a combination of Coach Cristobal is going to be able to kind of shift this offensive line in the right direction pretty soon.
So, with all the issues in recent years at wide receiver, why are so many people high on Likens? Did they develop that well at wide receiver? Was it him pretty much going to the younger players and allowing them to mature this season?
I think it's not only that the players talk that he's revered big time. Yeah, you had Rambo come in, and Rambo had catching issues at Oklahoma. He got to Miami, and it really wasn't that same way. Uh, he was pretty good at it. He's done very well at ASU. He's put 2 first-round guys in the NFL out of ASU. Brandon Ayuk and the wide receiver who got drafted by the Patriots.
N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry, yep, those two. Those were his guys at ASU. He recruited, developed, saw him through to the first round before he came to Miami to take the wide receiver coach position. So he's thought of to be pretty big time because of the fact that even though he has like triple some of these guys' age, he has a younger vibe to him. So they really like and love him, but he still has that father figure respect from them, which is the kind of the perfect connection you want in those position coaches. Except for like corner and wide receiver, corner and running back, you go kind of young with those guys, but you want that experience, especially at a program like Miami where we want to be up there. You want that experience, but you also want to have that connection to a player where they can come to you for little things. They love being around you. They love going over to your house and just spending time with you. And that's what you saw when it came to Coach Rob Likens and his connection to this wide receiver core over the last 2 seasons.
Right, folks. Appreciate everybody being here. We are your destination every Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern Time with a Wholesome One. And of course, it's National Signing Day on Wednesday. And the last I checked, Miami at number 57 nationally in those 247 sports rankings. That is going to climb, I would think, significantly. But, it may be the one class in the country more so than any other that ranking is going to mean a whole lot more in February than it does this Wednesday or Thursday.
I agree, Mark. I will say this because I've been hitting this home for a long time. I would like to hear your viewpoint because it's truly starting to get to a point for me. This star rating system, how much weight do you put into something like that, Mark? Like, how much does it matter to you that the young man that's coming in as a 4 or 5 star recruit compared to a 2 or 3 star recruit? And in your time of studying the game, has that really made a big difference?
Well, I think it's like a lot of things in life that where there's a mass industry of something, I think the overall numbers matter. I think there's a direct correlation between how good these classes are nationally ranked versus how good the programs are. And we talk about the outliers once in a while. Wisconsin outplays its recruiting ranking and has for 25 or 30 years. Michigan State has in its better days under Mark D'Antonio. Kansas State did when they were playing their best football under Bill Snyder. And then on the opposite end, Texas is the classic case of underachieving its recruiting ranking. I see that Steve Sarkisian has a 7th ranked class right now. Well, they've stacked top 5 to 10 classes for the last 10 years. And they haven't done anything. So besides those outliers, the the class rankings have been pretty accurate to how good the teams have been on the field. Now, when you're talking about specific players, though, we can go through the 5 stars from every class over the last 10 years. We can find dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of busts, tons
Yep.
of them, tons of them. We can go to the 3 stars, even the 2 stars, and find all conference players.
I like to ask that question because, Mark, whether it's Cam Underwood that has his spot, whether it's Paul from Paul Scoop on you, whether insert name here, we've all had this spot at one point, and we continue to tell this Miami Hurricanes fan base, we gotta get past the Ray Lewis wasn't an immediate guy. The Ed Reed was a 2-star. We gotta get past that stuff. Yes, I understand it was a part of our past. And even for the people who are anywhere from the age of like 33 to 40, that was your reality. It is not that anymore. Okay? We can't, and I don't like attacking specific young men, but it's a valid argument. We can't keep rolling out with the 3-star U moniker and think we're going to win national championships. It doesn't work that way anymore. And the funny part is, Mark, they're only able to name like 2 or 3 people. Yeah, 2 or 3 people who's surrounded by the best of the best. Think of the best players that have come through Miami. Sean Taylor, he was arguably the #1 player in the country. He was Mr. Florida. Okay, 5-star recruit. Clinton Portis. Santana Moss, now you could argue Santana, the cousin, he was a 3-star, or they found him as far as a speedster and a track and field kind of guy and brought him over. Okay, cool. You look at Philip Buchanan, he was a highly rated young man. Jonathan Vilma was a 4-star, highly rated. Dan Morgan, borderline 5-star. Okay, Jesse Armstead, they didn't even have those kind of people anymore. DJ Williams was a 5. Like, these are big time names, and you saw what they brought to the table. Hell, I'll even bring it to you closer. You saw how Greg Rousseau, 3-star recruit, saw his production? Yes, he had those 15 and a half. You could have the argument that Jalen Phillips, a 5-star, almost 2 years removed from playing a true down of football. When he stepped on the field, you saw a difference. It's just that simple. It's hard to argue. This man just said Sean Taylor was a 2-star. Oh, God. This is the kind of stuff we deal with, Mark. Sean Taylor was not a 2-star recruit. He went to Gulliver Prep. He was the #1 safety in the country. He was the best player in arguably one of the best football states in the country, sir. I have to ask you, Mark, because you're an impartial party. Okay, you understand the difference. And it's so hard to get people who don't want to understand. I guess that's it. If you don't want to understand, you won't. And they might just be trolling just to troll because they know I'm gonna flip. But it gets me, Mark, because if you want to change the program, of course, the coaching, the culture, the foundation, I get all of that. Yes, I'm with you. But you also need the Jimmies and the Joes, man. You need those guys. All right. You think about how different the program looks. If you got Evan Neal, 5-star offensive tackle at left tackle, instead of Zion Nelson, a 2-star recruit. Think if we have, let's say we have Trevor Lawrence as our quarterback instead of Malik Rozier, who was a 3-star. Yes, there are anomalies. That is obvious.
Sure.
But that's why they're different. They're spurts. It's an anomaly. It's not the norm. It's abnormal. It's not normal. Okay, if you have 22 players on the roster, obviously all 22 can't be 5 stars. That's just, come on, we're not Bama. That's not gonna happen. Okay, but 18 or 19 of them should be 4 or 5 star if you want to be in a national championship conversation. You could have 3 or 4 of them who are your 3 star standouts, a 3 star speedster wide receiver who can fly, a 3 star strong safety you fell in love with. One that comes to mind, Jaquan Johnson. Wasn't fast, wasn't tall, wasn't the strongest, but he was a great football player and had a really nice career here in Miami. He was a 3 star for the longest before he got his bump up to a 4 star. And you're talking about a young man who was four time, a four-time all-Dade County prospect from freshman all the way to a senior. It happens, man. That's why, Mark, I just had to ask you that because I want to hear your viewpoint on it because it gets tiresome having to listen to it. It really does, man.
Well, it's just obvious. It's obvious. We all know who's winning games and conference championships and competing in the playoff nearly every year. And then we know how the tiers go from there. And all you have to do is pull up the national recruiting rankings, look at them for 2021, then pull them up for 20, pull them up for 19, pull them up for 18. The 4 or 5 that you're going to see up at the top are always up at the top. Then you're going to see another layer under them that are pretty much filling that tier, and it pretty much goes from there. And it's going to be the same as what you're going to see when you look at the top 10 rankings on the field at the end of the year.
Oh my God, this man just said Ja'Cory Harris was a 5-star. Oh my God. I'm telling you, Mark, I really think they do this because they know when I get in this mood, I'm gonna respond.
even if they were right, they're still bringing up one player. Think of it this way, folks. There are 130 FBS teams.
Yep.
The average class is going to be around 20. That's 2,600 players. It's almost 3,000 players that are going to sign in the FBS. 65 Power 5. You're going to have 1,300 that are going to sign Power 5 scholarships.
Yep.
1,300 players. Yes, you can. JJ Watt was a 2-star. We can go all over the place. Tom Brady was a 6th rounder. That doesn't mean you necessarily want to select your franchise quarterback in the 6th round because nobody else was drafted in the 6th round that's doing that.
And like I said, Mark, I get it because there's certain people at the end of the day, you can't change their mind. They're going to see what they want to see. We bring up 5 stars, they're going to argue about 5-star busts. You know, you're going to argue 3-star, 3-star, 3-star. And I get it, man. And that's what we're saying. Like, everyone is going to have busts. That we're not saying that every 5-star is the first-round draft pick. But, I mean, we got John Garvin coming off the edge. Imagine if that's Chase Young. How different that looks. Okay. We got Trent Harris. What if Trent Harris, good player. Olivier Vernon, one of my personal heroes growing up from my hometown of Hialeah in Miami Lakes, went to my high school, American Senior High School in Dade County. Okay, he was a 3-star, 4-star kind of prospect. Yeah. Went to Miami, played 10, 11 years in the National Football League. Yeah, you know, Joey Bosa was in that same recruiting class. You know where Joey Bosa went? Ohio State. Arguably a college football Hall of Famer. First top 10 pick. Yeah, I'm just saying, from around the way, Fort Lauderdale. That's the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. And I get it. You're going to argue either way. We could be here for hours trying to go back and forth to try to explain. Again, people see what they want to see. I want our fan base to understand. The more important thing is the culture and the coaching and building a great program. That's how you get the foundation. But then you got to springboard into going on a different level of recruiting, and then matching those things together and being able to create great competition with those big time prospects on on the practice field of Green Tree practice and in the Carroll Shuffle. That's how you do it. And it's not a 2 year thing. I'm talking about a three-year thing, a 4 year thing. It's gonna be out there a little bit, but it'll take time. I think the Miami Hurricanes administration is gonna give Coach Cristobal every way possible to succeed. It might take a little bit, but they're gonna do it. And they're gonna swing for the fences. We gotta do it, man. We gotta change the roster if we want to be there with the big boys. If we want to be playing in January, we gotta stack the roster. And we don't have to be 3-star U and day 3U and brag about developing guys who were 3 stars into the 4th round draft pick. No. What we need to do is to stack that cupboard and getting the big guys here to come to Miami and start filling the 1st and the 2nd round with Miami Hurricanes. That's how you get her done.
Because as impressed as both of us are with the program at Wisconsin, and I think we are, I think we share
Absolutely.
that.
And
Understand,
Iowa.
folks,
That's the other place I
yeah,
really like who
but
does that.
but understand that with that they are developing players about as well as you can. Nobody's perfect, of course, but about as well as you can. But understand, Miami fans, you don't want to be Wisconsin or Iowa long term. You would like to be them maybe right this second, but you don't want to be them long term. Wisconsin, for as well as they're doing and for as great a football program as they haven't made a playoff. They haven't won the Big Ten in 10 years. Iowa hasn't won the Big Ten in 20 years.
Whoa.
So they're not winning the conference. They're good. They're finishing in the top 15 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't get past Ohio State or whoever's hot that year in the Big Ten. They don't get past them. So they're doing as well as they can with the players that they can get.
Absolutely. You know one that's also very similar in that instance in our own conference, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is one of those heavily developing programs. You know, they signed 2 5-stars in my recruiting class 2014. They had a 5-star safety and a 5-star defensive tackle, which was the first time since like Mike Vick and Marcus Vick that they landed these big time recruits. Those guys flamed out. You know, it's just I believe certain programs that's just not their MO. You know, their thing is I don't even think Wisconsin is known as like O-line U, and they don't even land 5-star offensive linemen. And I think that's just because that's not their bread and butter. They want the dairy farm 3-star, similar to what I do here. They want that kind of stuff to they can build you, they can put you in a red shirt program, they can get you in a weight room program. Heck, they may even gray shirt you. And you don't start until year 4, year 5, but by the time you go out there, you're a big time prospect ready to get after it. And you're gonna go make millions in the NFL. That's just how it works at certain programs like that. Miami, we don't have to do that. So why? Why force yourself to have to do that to beat your chest about being these great developers when you could just go get the big time recruit? And if he doesn't pick you, he doesn't pick you. But not going after them because you don't think that they're going to come here, or not going after them because you think, oh, they're going to come here anyway. His dad would here. That's not how it works. And I'm happy we no longer have a coach that does that kind of stuff.
Maybe people are thinking that because Miami's generally recruiting higher ranked classes than, let's say, Wisconsin, and they are developing them to the hilt. Miami's actually letting them, with the lack of coaching they've had for the last 10 to 15 years, allowing those players to regress. Yeah, they're going the other way.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out many times, 4 and 5 stars walk into Miami and then they turn out to be 5th and 6th round draft picks just because they're still the same player that they were when they were freshmen.
Yeah, I mean, A couple examples off the top of my head: Tracy Howard, #1 cornerback in the country, class of 2013, undrafted, played 3 years in the National Football League, out, 5-star recruit. Chad Thomas, 5-star recruit, defensive end, 6'5", 250, comes here. Now, you can argue that Chad, his first 2 years, played in the 3-4, so he wasn't able to make plays. The latter 2 years, he played in the 4-3. He was able to make plays. He goes in the third round, Mark, 75th overall in the third round. One of the highest drafted Miami Hurricanes defensive linemen since Damian Lewis in 2004, Mark. That's how bad it had been at Miami. All right. Out the league in 3.5 years. Gone. Pew, out the door. He was drafted in the 18. He didn't even make it to the 2020 season. You know, that's the kind of stuff, man, that we were dealing with. And that's our fault for not having the right coaching. If Chad Thomas is here and he plays in a 4-3 for forever, who knows what happens to him? You know, but those are Duke Johnson. Duke was here. 5-star according to one. I always looked at him because I use ESPN. He was a 4-star, but according to 247 and Rivals, he's just 5-star, big time athlete, could play corner or running back, punt, kick, return specialist, running back. You know, he comes here. You watch him come off the, running the ball for Miami, late third round pick, out the league in a couple years. All right, he didn't get a real grown man body until his last year. He was 190 pounds for 2 whole years at Miami, Mark. That doesn't even make sense. But if you have the right program, if he had a better offensive line, if we did a lot, it's about doing the things around them also. So it's not just elite recruiting, because then you'll be Tennessee and Texas, where you just got all these big time prospects, and everywhere you turn is 5-star, 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 but your culture's trash. Your program is not put together. And it can't just be the other way where you got this elite program. And guys are coming in and out. It looks really good. We're developing what we can, but we're only landing the 2 and 3-star recruits. So you got to be able, again, to put them together. And that's how you get your Georgias, your Bamas, your Ohio States. Hopefully your USCs. I'm definitely rooting for that to come back. I think that would be great for college football. And I think Oklahoma can kind of float for a little bit, but I foresee them to take a little bit of it, in my opinion, just for a little bit. But yeah, that's just what it is.
Yeah, we've got a super chat contribution coming in here from MDB. Says, can't forget our history of failed 5-stars. So Kyle Wright, Reggie Youngblood. Is that Lance Leggett?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know how long ago this was on there, because I just went down on you need to have both. You got to have the culture. And yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%. You are correct. We've had some fall offs. You've had some falls.
All right. How much time you got, Wholesome One?
Hit me. I'm free. Roll with me.
All right. I think we have another question coming in here. We've got MDB again. To be fair, it always seemed like Chad Thomas wanted to focus on music more than football, which is fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, and again, when I bring up people, I'm not here to bash these people. That's not what I'm here for. Okay, I'm just saying that they are a part of what we've gone through here at Miami. There's a reason, and Chad is one of those prospects. Yeah, he gave his heart. He worked hard here, but if the program put him in a better situation, who knows what Chad could have been? That's all I'm gonna keep saying. It has to work both ways. I'm not just gonna blame the administration and the coaching, and I'm not just gonna blame these young men who came here because they love Miami. It's both of them getting their stuff together and putting it in and putting it together. But let's be honest, one influences the other. The administration, the coaching staff, and the culture that influences the players. So it might be about 80-20, in my opinion. Because if we were elite on this side with administration and great facilities and a great program and a great culture, we'll still, Mark, we probably would win the Coastal every damn year. It's just one of those things. We beat the Coastal champ 3 of the last 4 times. And if you want to go a year further than that, we were the Coastal champ, so we can't beat ourselves. So we've beaten the Coastal champ 4 of the last 5, or been the Coastal champ 4 of the last 5. So it's one of those things we got to put together, man. We got to put it together.
All right, folks. Every Tuesday, 1:15 Eastern with the Wholesome One. And we'll have another Miami Hurricanes live with Cam Underwood from State of the U Wednesday at 7 Eastern to wrap up the class, or at least at that point, you typically have a good handle at least on what the class is going to look like until February. And for a lot of teams across the country, that's going to be the final class. But with Mario going to work here, we'll hold off on any final evaluations.
Right. And tomorrow will be the first time that these young men can officially put pen to paper and sign. So we might have some signed folks. And by the time you're on with Cam, probably already have 3, 4, 5 of those young men who are committed may already be signed, sealed, delivered, and officially Miami Hurricanes. We do have a couple early enrollees who could be in school within the next 2 weeks. So it's moving fast, and you gotta get on it, and you gotta be chasing it tenaciously. And I'm glad we have someone who shares that viewpoint. We have to chase this tenaciously.
I'm understanding this coming in from William. He says, "Hey, Wholesome One, and name 3 players that started for Miami, but if Miami was playing like Miami, they would have just been a water boy." Okay. Players that shouldn't have been starting if Miami what it's supposed to be.
Oh man. I just went on a soliloquy about not wanting to bash people.
Yeah. I thought of that
I
about
am
halfway through
going
the
to
question as
say,
well. So we don't need to answer that.
yeah, I'm gonna say this much. I'm gonna choose to not answer that question out of respect for a lot of the people I would love to say right now. So I appreciate the question. I think the comment section can answer that for you. And I think your own eyes can answer that question for you, William. I do appreciate the question, though, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, the evaluation and criticism goes more to the people in charge that put those
Right.
players on the field that weren't able to recruit at the level that they should have or develop at the level that they should have. Those are the people that we uh, tend to evaluate. So, Wholesome One, over the next several days, what do you have going on your channel?
So we're gonna have tomorrow, we're gonna have a live where I'm going to go over who signed. We're going to review their film again. A lot of those young men have updated their roster, their huddle, so we can have their senior film and we can go over it and see the growth. Because I always do a film eval when they commit to the school, so that we can see what the player is bringing to the table. And that was them as juniors in the 2020 season, and a lot of them didn't even really have full highlight tapes, or they only played 3 games, or such in and such out. So guys like Wesley Bassett, guys like who else is expected to go tomorrow? Actually, that's a quick Google search. Give me 1 second here. I could tell you who will all be signing tomorrow. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. Get on down. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. Get on down.
Don't sing that too well, Wholesome One. I'm going to get caught for copyright violations.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You got Chris Graves, cornerback, going to be committing tomorrow. You have Ja'Curry Brown going to be signing tomorrow. You have Isaiah Horton, wide receiver, 4-star wide receiver, going to be signing tomorrow also. And Wesley Bassett is written in to be signing tomorrow for Miami. So that is 5 out of the 8. Auto to be putting pen to paper as early as tomorrow morning. Again, we're going to have Thursday, you're going to have Friday. And I will tell y'all this much, guys. Keep an eye out on young men choosing to not sign this week and waiting until February. If it is local, it's a win for Miami. I'm telling you, it's a big win, and these recruits are giving Miami a chance. That's all we can ask for at this point. We've been very disappointing to them and their families and the community for the last decade to decade and a half. A lot of the people right now weren't even born when we won a championship in '01 because these recruits were born in '03, if you do the math. Okay, Miami was already on their downward spiral by '03. Okay, so they don't see us as that kind of program. So if we can get Coach Cristobal to even have us in conversation, to get a name, to get a hat at the table, it's growth. It's growth and it's good. It shows signs going in the right direction. So hey, I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button. We appreciate it. And again, the comment section is always there for questions moving forward into the next live. So if there's something we didn't get to or we missed your question, go ahead and drop it in the comment section below. Heck, I might even come in and respond to you if I'm able to get to you before the live next week.
Cheryl, thank you so much for showing up as always. Thank you also for reminding everyone that I will be going full bore, full blast all day tomorrow, National Signing Day. I'll start at 9 a.m. I'll just be reviewing everything that's coming in. We've got an Oklahoma live show at 12:30 Eastern. We've got Michigan at 5 Eastern, Florida State at 6, Miami at 7. We've moved the Ohio State show back to Thursday because understand that most of the people that collaborate on my shows have jobs at 247 Sports, Rivals, those type places, and they're swamped and buried on National Signing Day. But I'll be catching up with a lot of those folks and churning out live and live streams and recorded segments on Thursday and Friday as well. So I will be all over National Signing Day as much as one person possibly can. And again, lock in on the Wholesome One for Miami specifically. All right, man. It was good to see you. You have a great National Signing Day. Great rest of your week.
Absolutely, Mark. I appreciate it so much. And as always, go Canes. Hopefully, y'all have a great rest of y'all day. And stay out of trouble out there, man. And make sure you tell your family members that you love them, man. It's very important. God bless. Have a good day, guys.